Good morning and a happy Saturday morning to you. Once again, tons of stuff, super long video. I think Meghan's going to start claiming she's 43% indigenous. All right, don't forget to sign up for my other channel. The link is in the description box. I'm putting my first recipe up on Sunday morning. You're not going to want to miss it, okay? So let's jump into this video because there's a lot. Let's go. We're going to start off today with Secret Weapon Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh. She was at the Royal Air Force Base in Wittering, which is located in Peterborough. And this took place on February 13th. She looked absolutely gorgeous in this green shirt. Now, keep in mind, she's the Honorary Air Commodore of the RAF Wittering, which is the main operating base and headquarters for the Royal Air Force Support Services. And also they do flight training there. Sophie met with members of the Royal Air Force Support Services and their kids. She met also with members of the Mobile Catering Squadron and their children as well. She also received a full tour of the base, and of course, towards the end, she was signing a visitor book. I'm surprised that she's able to just get out and about as quickly as she is, considering the fact that she just arrived from India. I'm sure she's jet lagged on some level, but good for her. You know how much I love her. She's a hard worker. Now, there's so many beautiful pictures, and I don't want to cut any of them out, so I'm just going to put the rest to music. Here you go. And a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what Sophie was wearing. Let's move on. All right, Duke of Kent. I'm shocked. He's 89 years old, and he took a trip to represent King Charles to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the Allied bombing of Dresden. For those of you who don't know, he is the cousin of Queen Elizabeth and the oldest working member of the royal family. So he went to Germany for the ceremony. For those of you who don't know, around 25,000 people were unalived in the firestorm, and much of the city was just knocked to the ground. And the thing was, it was knocked to the ground by British and American bombers. They did a 3-day devastating raid on the area 3 months before the end of the Second World War. It started on February 13th of 1945, and it's become one of the most controversial, acts of the war. The Duke of Kent did an official commemoration event in the Dresden Town Hall, and then he went to Frauenkirche, I'm not going to pronounce it perfectly, my German's not that good, which is the Church of Our Lady, which was destroyed during the assault and later reconstructed. And then later on, he joined a human chain around the town, and hundreds of people stood hand in hand to form a ring in remembrance of those who passed away. He's been to this city many times, by the way, as royal patron of the Dresden Trust since it was set up in 1993 to help rebuild the city and build bridges between the UK and Dresden. I think that's fabulous. Let's move on. All right, we're going to move on to King Charles and Queen Camilla. They did a day in Middlesboro, as I think is how you pronounce it. So first thing, they were visiting the town's international center, and they met children taking part in a craft activity to mark Valentine's Day, because this took place on the 13th. And so the kids made them some absolutely adorable cards and gave them to them. How fabulous is that? The idea of this get together, and they were they met a bunch of people. They're involved in the Junction Foundation and Together Middlesboro and the Cleveland organization, as well as officers were there from the Cleveland Police and young people from the King's Trust. They're demonstrating a knife crime education workshop. The idea is to lower the amount of knife crime, which I think is amazing. Then, of course, Queen Camilla tried her hand at table tennis. I got to be honest, I'm going to give her props because I don't know many people that would play a game that they're obviously not good at for a camera. You know what I'm saying? Good for her. Now, at another point, they were at the Environment City charity workers who promote health and sustainable living through community actions and events. And they were guided around by the founder of Investing in People and Culture, which operates the International Center, and it supports refugees and asylum seekers. It's very obvious from these pictures that the two of them really, really were enjoying themselves. There's something about the king. When I see him smiling and laughing, you know he's just like the best grandfather. He's like a lot of fun. You guys know what I'm saying. Anyway, it looks like they had a great time there. They unveiled a plaque, which is the usual thing that they do. And then they went outside to meet the crowds. And my goodness, people were lined up. Lots of children, lots of adults. Everybody had flags. Everybody had cameras. Everybody wanted to shake their hands. They looked so happy. Say what you want, but the crowds love these two. Look at this. Look. They're like 20 deep. Just trying to get a handshake, trying to get a picture. I love that. It just shows how much they're adored. Now, while they were out in the crowd, this was really cool. There was I think they call it centenarian. Am I saying that right? It was a young lady celebrating her 100th birthday that day. So normally, apparently, the palace sends the cards, but since King Charles was there on a walkabout, he was introduced to her, and he bent down and gave her the card and said, a very, very happy birthday. Here's a card from both of us. Now, the king asked the lady behind this woman, I think that's her carer, asked her when her birthday actually was. And the woman goes, today. And the king raised up his hands and went, oh my God, today? That's marvelous. FYI, the birthday girl's name was Rona Grafton, and she looked quite happy to receive the card. I just think that's wonderful. By the way, this walkabout, not everything's in order. This took place at the end of the day. And they said even the staff was shocked at the turnout because there were thousands as far as the eye could see, way more than expected. What did I tell you guys? Now, there was one other stop that King Charles made. Now, while the king was there, he went to a factory that makes turbines. I should say they make some of the components. So King Charles toured the production facility. They make offshore wind foundation providers, and it will produce offshore wind monopiles, which are the large steel pipes driven into the seabed to provide fixed foundations for the wind turbines that are, out in the ocean. And once operational, it will be the world's largest manufacturing facility for these wind structures. Can you imagine? So, of course, the king went around, he met the officials, he talked about the technology, he saw one of these big pipes. You could tell he was just totally impressed. And of course, he unveiled a plaque. Good for him. All right, let's move on. Now, let's move on to Princess Anne. On Wednesday, the 12th of February, she went to Catch 22. This is an SEN school run by Catch 22 Education Wing. Basically, this is support being given to students in Suffolk who have been excluded from mainstream education for whatever reason. And this helps them, get positive academic and social outcomes. Princess Anne was taken on a guided tour that shows the different activities and programs that are running at the school, and she got to see some of the children and the teachers do various activities, at which time she then got some beautiful flowers. Moving on, Princess Anne went to the Science Museum a few days ago for the announcement of the Queen Elizabeth Prize 2025 laureates, and they celebrated the winners' achievements. Also, it was announced by Wise, and we know that Princess Anne is their patron. She will be attending their 2025 Wise Awards. And finally, also a few days ago, Princess Anne went to the Trinity House to mark the start of the RYA's 150th anniversary, and she gave out the prestigious Yachtsman of the Year award. Let's move on now to Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh. He was at the theater Chipping Norton. Edward met with staff, volunteers, and beneficiaries to learn about the power of the arts there. And this particular theater is known for its, quote, vibrant productions. They have an annual pantomime and community-driven charity stuff. I think it's really cool. All right, let's move on to our Harry and Meghan stuff. All right, we're going to start with this. They're saying that King Charles has absolutely no relationship with Archie or Lily. I'm not surprised by that, but the thing is, Harry and Meghan have done that in an attempt to punish King Charles. The truth is, he's not being punished. He has 3 other grandchildren. The people being punished are the kids, because when they grow up and realize their parents denied them a relationship with the king and their own grandfather, oh, yeah, karma, I've told you guys, it's a thing. Yeah, let's see what William does once he's king. All right, moving on. It's being reported that Meghan got back to California and she's focusing on her brand because remember, they're going to launch this Netflix show and the products. But apparently, she's very frustrated because underneath all of the Netflix stuff and the ARO stuff are nothing but negative comments. There is nothing positive under anything that she's put out on any platform. But what really shocked me was what was at the end of the article. This is what it says. Her jam was ridiculed by people, and she's more determined than ever to get it on the shelves, but she needs more capital to put behind it so she can produce it on a large enough scale and get it on the shelves. Basically, she's looking for backers. All right. Now, we had heard this rumor, but now it's confirmed true that Meghan Markle delayed her show because she is reworking the footage to include her philanthropic work with Prince Harry. So now they're going to include all the work that they did to help the displaced communities in California. This show, remember, is supposed to explore Meghan's life as a housewife. There's going to be hosting and entertaining tips, and her friends were in there. And then we saw all of these pictures come out and all these videos come out of her and Harry supposedly helping to do, all these different things. Now, don't forget that the news actually reported that they were notified that Harry and Meghan were there. Because remember, no good deed goes, without somebody noticing it. So we had heard that they were going to be doing this, but now it's true. This just confirms what I've always said. They are disaster tourists. They are grief ghouls. They are the monetizers of Montecito. Everything that they did was for photo ops. That's all. And then you had the mayor of Pasadena, Victor Gordo, walking around dropping stories about how Harry was such a wonderful person for bringing somebody a donut. That's right, a donut. When all of this taping was going on, people said to me, come on, give her a break. She's probably not doing that. Maybe she's just doing this. Come on, let's go. It's, what I'm saying? And instead, no, she really was taping for content. She really was doing all of this so she could have content to put it into her program. Now, I have to be honest and tell you that I think it's going to make it worse. She is trying to capitalize other people's tragedies to try to make herself look better. It is tone deaf. It is pathetic. And I think it's the worst thing that she could do. I don't think it's going to help her at all. And like scenes like this one where she was hugging this girl and everybody went, oh, this girl, oh my God, this stranger that Meghan's hugging, only to have the footage show up later on where they were walking away in a specific area. Harry leans over, says something to Meghan, and Meghan goes to the other side to put her hand around this girl. She had people lining up for photos in her pristine white sneakers, and it wasn't long before what she was wearing was being merched. I mean, really, people, this was just horrible. Harry taking time out of people's days when they had work to do to go pet some dogs. I mean, really? In all honesty, this gives me Uvalde vibes. That's why people are calling them grief ghouls. Meghan likes to show up where things are happening, take some pictures, act like she's sad or she's helping, get the footage, and then use it somehow. All right, let's move on. All right, I want to take you back to February of 2024. Harry and Meghan went to First Nations area. They met with an indigenous group. They thanked them for, letting them onto their sacred land. Not exactly sure why. Maybe the Whistler, where they have this really expensive place, is on, sacred land. I don't know. I want you to remember that Harry and Meghan do not represent the crown. As a matter of fact, they don't represent anybody. So when the stories came out that Harry was, stepping in to help because there's a reconciliation going on, or in the past, I'm not exactly sure how this whole thing works, but basically, especially with the crown, it said, and I want to learn more about the reconciliation. And so we're going to talk to Harry about it. Why are you talking to Harry? Harry has absolutely nothing to do with it. But I feel like Harry is doing this to hurt his father. And that would be because the counselor who was talking to the news said he's had many intimate conversations with Harry regarding previous visits to Vancouver taken by other members of the royal family, but he hopes the future ones will play out differently because apparently the nation was promised time with the royals the last time they came through, but they were overlooked and they had gifts and totem poles laid out, but the families were waiting to meet and greet, but the king and queen just drove through the communities and they didn't stop and our people were heartbroken. Really? So you're using the king and the queen, you're slamming the king and the queen, but saying that Harry is fixing all of this. This is just bullshit, in my opinion. I'm sorry, but that really angers me. Harry has dumped on his parents. How do you think talking to Harry is going to fix anything? Now, Harry and Meghan apparently left the Invictus Games to go be escorted from their hotel onto the reserve Monday morning. They had cultural and educational ceremonies that would, introduce them to the community. They welcomed them to the language nest where they were given a crash course in the nation's language. And they met some of the little kids and they saw what the teachers were doing. And then, it just on and on and on it went. You know what I think? I think Meghan's going to start saying that she's 43% Native American. Meghan took the obligatory photos with the kids like Catherine does to show that she's a natural with children. Too late, we already know she's not. Then we were told that the two of them immersed themselves in their nation's culture. They weaved cedar wristbands. They made drums and sang traditional songs with throngs of children. Okay, first of all, I'm sorry, look at her thighs here. There's something wrong with her. There's something not right with her. She's losing too much weight. She needs to get off the damn Ozempic, okay? Then they're saying that they beat the drums and they danced and they did all of these things. And then Meghan was given a necklace, which I guarantee you guys will never see again. She's like, oh, look at my beautiful necklace. Oh, yeah. These people got used. That's my opinion. Now, when this was over, Meghan's gone, and there's the old Harry. He's at a Veterans Employment Symposium. He looks like the old Harry again, without her around to grab on him. And then he's been in a couple of videos also by Invictus, the Invictus Daily thing. Look at him. He looks like a completely different person. It's amazing how different. I love it. I love it. He's like a different person. Now, I will say one other thing. They did do the march again in front of the veterans, but at least this time it was Harry. It wasn't Meghan. I'm not still a fan of the whole march thing, but you know what? It has some meaning without Meghan Markle in short shorts. Love it. All right, you guys, you know what to do. Hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, my physical address, my Amazon wish list, and the link to my father's book and my second channel if you want to see the animals or get recipes. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.